never
cooking.
want a woman in my state to be exploited by the online sex slavery that is OnlyFans.
But
And that's why, as
I
governor,
thought it was a voluntary platform.
it's not. There's nothing voluntary about a platform that exploits women and forces them to sell nude photos on the internet.
What? Forces them to sell nude photos. You don't have to sell nude photos on OnlyFans.
Well, hey, Sophie, good to meet you. It's not a punishment at all.
You creep!
Hey guys, welcome to Normal Gaze, where we take on insanity. I'm Brad Polumbo here with Clarkson Lawson.
What's up, guys?
Nope, we're not
we're not
just
doing
gonna get
that.
right
We're
into
just
the
getting
content.
into it.
We're gonna watch an OnlyFans debate on Piers Morgan Uncensored. We've got our resident OnlyFans star with us to discuss.
Thank you very much.
But also, you would be directly affected by this.
I would.
It's not gonna happen, but if it did, obviously it would affect you.
It would be like, what's like white flight for sex workers?
Flight?
That's, yes.
Flight?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll think about that. You guys comment what you think it would be called, but we would all move out of Florida.
Well, that's the most obvious thing he never seems to discuss. Anyway.
And I'm a sexual worker, not a sex worker.
Yes, we've been over this.
There's a difference. I do not get
It's a Republican governor.
penetrated on camera.
Governor
Don't do that.
candidate. Oh my God.
Sorry.
Republican gubernatorial candidate James Fishback, who
Don't even call him a gubernatorial candidate.
He's
an influencer who put his name on the dotted line to run for governor.
4% in the polls is
so
4%.
So he can become an influencer.
Yes, sure. But he's anyway running for governor. He's just pandering to the gripers. And he's trying to become like a Nick Fuentes mini world celebrity. And he went on Piers Morgan, who of course brought on like the biggest OnlyFans girl in, I think, of all
Sophie
time,
Rain, yeah,
for a little panel, and it's absolutely crazy. We're just going to run the teaser of it, and then we'll discuss a little bit, and then we're going to actually watch some extended clips. So let's just watch this trailer. My boy Piers knows how to do the cinematic trailer for sure. Let's watch.
You've proposed a 50% sin tax on OnlyFans creators to discourage what you call immoral behavior.
I feel that this is a classic case of Stockholm Syndrome. The victim, the enslaved person, doesn't feel that they have real agency.
Why don't we just bring in Sophie Rain?
Sophie, look, with all due respect, I want what's best for you. You are capable of anything you put your mind to. And so when you're doing this little cute Spider-Man dance online and you're creating this adult content, know that that person that you used to be still wants something more.
Who are you to be the great moral arbiter of what young women do with themselves legally in the United States?
Oh my God, he pisses me off so much.
You're going to crash out.
I'm going to crash the out. Oh my God.
He's so weird. And he also like blatantly contradicts himself a bunch of times in this.
Here's my issue. This goes bigger than just him, because everybody hates OnlyFans and they're like, OnlyFans has ruined our culture. It's like, OnlyFans didn't increase porn usage.
No, it's just a different kind where people are more independent.
It's just decentralize the market. And the problem is that anytime this happens with influencers too, and with just fame in general, when something becomes attainable to the general public or more easily attainable, everybody hates on it because they can't have it. Like, that's why everybody hates on their influencer friends.
Okay, I don't think everyone hates OnlyFans just because they want to be on it.
But I'm saying I'm giving a psychological analysis on this. Everybody hates their influencer friends because low key, they realize that it's possible to be famous very easily now and to make money very easily. The same thing happens for OnlyFans. They don't have the same amount of energy for porn
I think
stars.
there are legitimate critiques of OF.
Sure. There's critiques of sex work.
Yes. And I also think OF in particular, one of the problems with it is that some people get the illusion or the impression that they're going to make a ton of money from it, when in reality only a small percentage of creators do. Yeah. And so I feel bad for the gullible young people who, that's why even, we're going to talk about her later, Bonnie Blue, to her credit, will say in interviews.
My girl!
Will say in interviews, I don't recommend this for most young women. They should not do this. And because like, unless you're part of that top 1% or whatever, the average creator makes a couple $100 a month and their nudes are going to be out there forever. It's like, that's a very bad idea for most people. But you also, I agree with you, OnlyFans did not create pornography. And in fact, it made it, at least for the women or the creators, probably
made it more
safer and better in numerous ways, because instead of illicit studios or underground sets or having these men control them, they now get to run their own business. They get to have distance and separation. Like,
The problem now is that the Andrew Tates of the world are creating their own agencies and now turning OF into the same.
Oh yeah,
exact
I watched
thing.
in the Red Pill documentary. There's one guy who
runs an agency but says that
he says it's
OnlyFans is
terrible and immoral, but of course I'm gonna profit off of it.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, you kind of respect the hustle.
I do. I kind of do. I mean, no, not. I don't respect the hypocrisy, but I respect the hustle. I think if you're gonna get into OnlyFans, it takes a very, very specific personality type, and if you have a lot of like pre-existing strong moral beliefs that are just subjective to you, you probably shouldn't do it because you're going to hate yourself. You're going to convince yourself that what you're doing is evil, that it's wrong. And if you hold those beliefs, that's fine. You can hold them. But you have to be the type of person that can literally just like not care about how you're perceived and not care about like, and I don't know, you have to be able to craft your own morality in order to do it, I think.
Yes, we're going to talk about the specifics of Fishback's proposal.
Yeah, sorry.
And the debate that we're about to watch. First, though, we do want to plug our membership, but also just subscribe. A lot of you watch the videos and aren't subscribed.
Get me if you don't want me to be on OnlyFans, then join as a member. So
he probably won't stop anyway, but you could, if that will make you more likely to become a channel member, then tell yourself that.
Yeah. Well, you just ruined it. Everybody was going to give us money because they want.
Okay.
They want to see.
They want to. Oh yeah.
They want to see me be like.
If we get to how about this? If we get to 2,000 members, Clarkson will delete his OF. I promise.
Well, then you have to give me a higher percentage.
What do you? All right. How about you just all become members and we'll figure the details out later. Well, we should actually come up with a membership.
Everybody still thinks I'm getting like 20% of this.
No.
We renegotiated now that we have an editor, by the way.
Anyways, I think it's hilarious. We should actually come up with like a member's goal where it's like Clarkson will close his legs. It's like
my legs have never been open on my OnlyFans.
I know, but you get what I'm saying. It's like that'd be a funny bit if like,
I mean,
Clarkson delete OF challenge.
We would probably need like 4,000 members.
Oh my god!
Do you know Basement Yard has literally like 60,000 paying members on their Patreon?
What?
Yes.
They must be making stupid money.
They're making so much money.
That's crazy. That needs to be us.
I know, but we have to stop talking about trans fats.
I think we need to talk about more trans fats.
I don't think so.
Anyway, so become
this has nothing to do with
with
those subjects. We're branching out.
They might come up.
Great.
No, they don't. Actually, they don't.
Oh.
But
Fishback.
Oh, yes, we're going to watch the full debate, but do become a member. We're going to do a funny video where we're going to play the game that all the absolutely cooked Gen Alphas are playing, Five Nights at Epstein's.
It's really bad. You can get...
Don't tell them. You have to watch. You have to join with us to watch.
Just know that part of the game is running away from Stephen Hawking. So... Well, I don't know. Maybe rolling away?
Oh, my God.
I don't know. I am going to get you.
Oh, my God. All right.
You look very good today.
That's incredibly offensive.
I don't give a I'm a Slytherin. All right.
Let's watch.
You've proposed a 50% sin tax on OnlyFans creators to discourage what you call immoral behavior. So just explain that.
Well, there was a time not too long ago in the United States of America where young girls aspired to be cooks and lawyers and reporters and doctors. And nowadays they are resigned to the fact that if they have an unexpected expense or they need to cover their rent or groceries.
Can we just pause on this idea that all girls today just grow up and want to be OF models and that's their only I don't know.
I've never met one young girl who aspires to be an OF model. Not one.
I'm sure you could find some women who feel like they really need cash and they don't know what else to do but it's like most women are still not
this dude needs to go outside. This is like the most chronically online take.
It really is. Like, I know.
This is like seeing one of the girls getting misgendered at it, like, I don't know, a they, them, and thinking that our generation just wants to be called they, thems. It's like,
well, like 5% or whatever.
That was like one person on TikTok that you saw. It's not that serious.
I think, listen, I have in-laws, I have cousins, I know some young women around that age, 19, 20, 21. I don't know any of them that have even considered ever once doing that or ever would. And like, they still want to become teachers or lawyers and other stuff. My sister's literally in law school right now.
I mean, I've never met a woman who really wants to be a cook. I feel like that's fairly rare.
Also, it's hilarious. That was his go-to example.
Of course, that's the first one.
He's like, women used to
aspire to be in the kitchen.
Again, I'm not here saying that I think OF is like a pure and amazing business, but I also don't believe that grown-ass adults who choose this are being exploited by OF executives, like you said. Are you being exploited?
No, I am living.
If anything, you're exploiting these men.
I am so much happier now that I'm not working a 9 to 5, and I really just don't give a like. It has made my life significantly better, and I'm a more pleasant person to be around. So,
all right, let's keep going here.
But I'm not a young girl.
Platform. And so I respect women. I respect them enough to think that they are capable of anything they put their minds to. And
like
I never
cooking?
want a woman in my state to be exploited by the online sex slavery that is OnlyFans.
But
And that's why as governor,
I thought it was a voluntary platform.
It's not. There's nothing voluntary about a platform that exploits women and forces them to sell nude photos on the internet.
When you say
forces them to sell nude photos. You don't have to sell nude photos on OnlyFans. You don't even have to post sexy pictures on OnlyFans.
Did I just miss the part where like these 22-year-old girls have a gun to their head, making them sign up and do this? It's like you go off.
I mean, I just think it's all stupid. He's stupid, but he knows what he's doing. He's literally, everything he's doing is he is saying what incel men who are chronically online and cannot get laid are thinking, because he wants to cater to the Nick Fuentes crowd. He wants to get in with that group. And the main audience there are men who can't get laid. So then they become resentful towards women. And then they hate any form of female sexuality, because that reminds them that they can't get their wet.
Oh, that was a expressive phrase, but
sorry, it's true. These men, the incel men, are very dangerous.
Yeah,
and history proves that.
Okay, allegedly.
No, I'm serious.
Yes, but allegedly.
I watched a TikTok on it.
Yeah, well, we'll keep the alleged attached there. But regardless, I think
who's gonna sue us? History?
No,
why are you saying allegedly? No, I said incel men are very dangerous.
Oh, I thought you said his history proves that.
Oh, no, I said history proves
that. I thought you said his
story
proves that.
No, I'm saying history proves that when men are not getting...
I see. Yeah. I thought you were talking specifically about James Fishback, because there are allegations that we're not going to get into, because I haven't thoroughly vetted them.
We haven't thoroughly looked at
But did you see the video where some black dude confronts him on these allegations that he did inappropriate things, and he tells the guy that you should be lynched?
Yeah. See, this is...
that's insane.
He wants women to be cooks, and he wants to
lynch black people who insult him. Offend him. Like, that's crazy, dude.
It's an act.
But it's a scary act.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't something that's like camp. This is crazy.
It's insane.
But back to this point, there's just this vision of, you either think that human adults have agency and, absent some actual observable, provable coercion, are not being coerced. So like this Sophie Rain girl, she has all the money in the world now that is going to come on the show. She's got millions of dollars. There's literally nothing stopping her from choosing to stop OF tomorrow if she wanted to. And she could, yet he's arguing she's literally a slave somehow. It makes no sense.
He's also arguing that she should do other things that are more impactful for the world. I think his argument rests on, like, essentially women should provide more value. I believe in you. But, like, a lot of these women do OF and then pursue what they truly want to pursue, but they wouldn't have been able to do that without the funds from OF. So there's actually a case to be made that by transiently doing OF, you can actually end up providing more value to society. Like, say, if you're using the money to go to college.
Or to donate to charity.
Or to donate to charity. Or if you just want to follow a passion of yours because that's what you want to do. It's opened up a lot of lanes for people, but nobody has this conversation because it's just clouded so much in, like, degeneracy that, like, nobody can actually look at this rationally.
Yeah. Let's keep rolling.
This is a classic case.
Just to be clear about what OnlyFans is, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding about OnlyFans is it's voluntary. No one's forcing you to do it. People go on OnlyFans, create an account.
He knows he's lying.
And they charge money for whatever they want to put on their account. I'm not sure where the exploitation element, as you're articulating it, is.
Well, this is often the defense of sex trafficking, that a 15-year-old girl is voluntarily entering...
Sex trafficking is illegal.
Oh, my God.
This is often the defense of sex trafficking?
I must have missed the part where anyone defends sex trafficking of a 15-year-old girl. What?
Am I being sex trafficked?
He actually just said, because Piers' argument is no one's forcing them to do it. They're not being coerced. They're choosing it. It's voluntary. And he's like, that's what people say about 15-year-olds being sex trafficked. No, they don't. What the are you talking about? The whole point is that's...
Check his hard drive!
That is not consensual. It is not voluntary. That's why it's sex trafficking. It's coerced. And they're a minor and can't consent.
You know what? I think what the anti-OnlyFans crowd, what it comes down to, is they don't believe. They know that you have agency to make your own decision to do it, but they fully believe that something has corrupted your agency, and that is what is exploiting you. Like, a lot of Christians will say that a demon is exploiting you. If you engage in that. So really what their arguments come down to is not a logical reason. It's not something that can be debated. It's just, I feel strongly, morally, that you are corrupted and what you're doing is bad for your soul.
I feel entitled to control you and make your life choices for you through the force of the government.
If you don't like OnlyFans, or if you don't want people to do OnlyFans, specifically if you're a Christian, I think your best ministry in the subject is to befriend OnlyFans creators and show them why their life could be better. Isn't that what Jesus did?
I have no problem with what you just described. If you think it's wrong, if you think people should stop doing it, persuade them. That's what it means to live in a free society. But you could even boycott the company, though. I guess what else? Like, you know what I'm saying? You can lead, but
they're not going to boycott it because they're buying it. They're bouncing those titties.
That's a different story we're going to get to.
Yeah.
Once you start, because he doesn't just want to tax, he also says he wants to ban it, but then later says, actually, he makes no sense. He's totally not consistent. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But when you want to control others and deprive them of their freedom and ability to make choices, that's when I have a problem with your beliefs. I don't have a problem with you believing it's wrong, it's bad, people shouldn't do it, advocating for your beliefs. I have a problem with this. And there's a level of, we haven't even got to this, economic illiteracy. That if you put a 50% tax on OnlyFans creators in Florida, as the governor of Florida, which James Fishback will never, ever be, all that would happen is that they would literally just relocate their residents to another state and then not ever, you just lose tax revenue and business. Like literally that's all that would happen. There's not a single high dollar earning OnlyFans creator who would choose to stay in the state of Florida and pay a 50% tax rather than just move anywhere else and even live somewhere else and then spend half the year in Florida minus 1 day. It's like they could do that. It's just you don't even think about it.
It doesn't make any economic sense.
It's actually just...
You're actually... What the funny thing is that if the government put a 50% tax on specifically OnlyFans earnings, and his problem is that OnlyFans is exploiting these girls, the government would then engage in the exploitation that he is claiming OnlyFans is doing by stealing their revenue.
Well, in fairness to him, I think he would view it as a way to essentially shut down.
But that's not what it does. It's what it actually does is it's the government taking funds. So even if these OnlyFans girls stayed and did it, they wouldn't shut down. They would just have to pay the government a fee to do it. So you want the government to take the sex money that you're claiming is
he claims that they're going to give it to teachers instead, but also what money? Because it's going to raise $0 in revenue or near like very little revenue because people will just move out. And it's also you're never going to be governor.
Also, you're a Republican. I thought that we believed it in a state with no taxes. With no state taxes, except for the tax on whores.
I will say this. I do think hoe tax is a funny phrase. But also, it's actually, he knows this, that this proposal will never happen. He's never going to become governor. And that even if he did, this wouldn't happen. And that it would raise no revenue.
We're only 1 minute into this video.
I know, we're cooked. It's literally Christian nationalist virtue signaling.
Yeah.
This whole proposal.
He's building a following to launch a show and he loses.
Yeah, and whatever.
And I believe that OnlyFans should be illegal as well.
Really? Why? What law are they breaking?
Well, there's nothing. Well, I would change the law. I would change the law. That's how we do things. I mean,
Piers is missing the point there. He wants to make it illegal. So saying what law are they breaking isn't a good rebuttal because the point is he wants to make a new law.
Right.
The real question is like...
Well, Piers tends to take like I don't have a moral stance position on a lot of things. And
I don't know. He ended up going after him in this one.
Did he?
Yeah.
I mean, slavery wasn't illegal, and then we said this is a moral repugnancy.
But who's enslaving people on OnlyFans?
And we changed the law.
I'm really curious. Maybe you've consumed a lot more OnlyFans content than me, and you see
I've never been on OnlyFans.
Good job, Piers.
He ate him up a little bit there.
Yeah.
That is funny. And I will just say, I'm sorry. Comparing it to slavery is freaking ridiculous. Like, let's just remain in the realm of...
you literally just told a black man that he should be late. So since when do you have some moral issue with slavery, dude? Like,
oh my God.
He's just saying things. He's literally just saying that he knows is going to get clipped. And
he
knows
really
people
is a
are gonna
total
react to.
fraud. He's done a complete 180 on almost all these major issues. He's now like an anti-Israel groiper and pretty openly flirts with anti-Semitism. And yet you go back a year or two, he was talking about how amazing Israel is, doing photo ops with Barry Weiss. This guy is a sociopathic liar and just
as most people in politics
but
are.
like
or in media
to a shocking degree though.
Yeah,
like to an unusual degree.
I wouldn't find that to be shocking. No, after meeting enough people in the industry, I think they're all just like that.
But I've rarely seen people go as far with it as him.
I don't think he realizes that his beliefs, these extreme beliefs, will go out of style very quickly.
They're also not even really in style except on the internet.
Except on the internet. Like the internet is in a very weird, it's been in this very weird maturing phase, and it's like going back and forth into like these different dark areas, but it's going to reach a point where like it settles. And it's just going to be another piece of tech that we have learned to manage socially. And he's going to have all of these clips.
Did you see Taylor Lorenz post her screen time as, what was it? 17 hours a day?
I have no business speaking. Mine's very high.
But it's not that high. Jesus.
And everything else. But I'm not aware that that is what OnlyFans is. It has a lot of adult content, but legal adult content, which is monitored according to the law, and that people who have accounts there do so voluntarily. They open accounts and they charge money. We have somebody I'm going to bring in a moment, Sophie Rain, who has made $43 million from her account on OnlyFans. I don't think she's been enslaved or exploited. I think she's perfectly happy and enjoys what she does. I mean, I'll talk to her in a moment, but why do you feel she's a slave?
So I feel that this is a classic case of Stockholm Syndrome, where the individual, the victim, the enslaved person doesn't feel that they have real agency. This goes back to Sociology 101, Piers, that someone is induced to believing they have choice, they have agency, when in fact they can't make a decision for themselves. I want young girls in my state to aspire to be astronauts, doctors, nurses, small business owners. I believe a radical thing that women can do anything they put their minds to, Piers, and I don't want them resigned
to the fact. So do you think, just to be clear, do you think modeling is modeling to you immoral?
Modeling, that's a little lame argument that Piers goes down a little bit, but I'm sorry. He's still saying she's enslaved and is so hijacked that she can't even make her own choices. It's like, who are you to decide that, absent any actual evidence?
I just explained it. I did. 2 minutes ago, I explained this. I knew it would come down to this. It's all about,
he doesn't watch this before. I've seen this already, but he hasn't.
Morally corrupted. Therefore, your decisions aren't actually your decisions unless they align with mine.
And then, you know what? Like,
it's actually a way of, it's cognitive dissonance, because you see people who fundamentally disagree with your moral worldview. And rather than coming to terms with the fact that people's beliefs are subjective, you have to convince yourself that their beliefs are wrong in some type of way, and they are corrupted, and they don't have agency over their beliefs. And that's the only way you can coexist with a person who disagrees with you.
But you would never be okay with us deciding that your decisions you make about your life are actually corrupted, and so we should make them for you. About what church you can go to, about whether you can get married or divorced, about how many kids you can have, about what you can do for work. It's like, either you want people to make their own choices absent actual evidence of like, this person is clearly,
logical evidence,
you know, fully mentally unfit, right? Which there should be a very high bar for, or this person is clearly being coerced and there's evidence of this.
Correct.
Other than that, people get to make their own decisions. And if you don't get to control others like this, unless you want that same energy applied to your own life, and I know I don't.
Well, they don't care, because he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's taking advantage of the free country that we live in by pretending to be a tyrant just so he can get social media clout.
I think naked modeling, however you want to euphemize it, naked modeling is immoral.
I mean, Cindy Crawford was one of the greatest iconic supermodels of all time. She's done naked modeling. So is she a sinner? Is she immoral? Should she be paying 50% back of her income?
Well, in that particular act of modeling, yes, and modeling nude, but you and I both know that Cindy Crawford was not known for her nude modeling. She was predominantly known for modeling for runway shows.
So should we retrospectively go back to every supermodel who's ever posed nude and get 50% back of their income from those pictures?
As much as I'd love to do that, that's not legally possible. What I'm going to do is I'm going to raise an OnlyFans syntax.
Why do you have a problem with women's naked bodies?
Why don't you just write a new law?
By the way, Piers, you keep talking about women. There are thousands of men on OnlyFans, and this is going to apply just as equally to them.
I mean, that's true. And do you feel, at least he's seeing you?
I know.
Do you feel
I feel like he's called me out, and I feel a part of the conversation. I was feeling very excluded.
But I mean, that is a fair point. And I think the whole thing about modeling and going back, a better argument is like, you realize, first off, like everything we've said, but also just like, I would love to, what's your response to the fact that literally no one is going to pay this tax and they would just relocate? Like
do you actually want to solve the problem, or do you just want to complain about it for online clicks?
Yeah, correct.
Women,
That's a very good point.
Or a woman,
it's a very good
point.
Even though it's
not
a problem.
Producing or consuming this content. And by the way, Piers, what you haven't brought up is that as governor, I would also levy a consumption tax. I'm not going to spare the men in this equation as well. If you're a young man and you're watching pornography, put down the phone, go to church, pray, and find a real God-fearing woman. Society is not going to be dictated by men and women commodifying and using one another in these ephemeral social relationships. No, it's not transactional sex. It is a romantic experience that is reserved for a man and a woman in the sanctity of marriage.
Okay, so now society is also going to stop unmarried men and women from sex.
Yeah,
and
so,
maybe and gays and lesbians. We'll have social police.
Yeah,
we can have a surveillance state.
I think
they can surveil everyone for immoral behavior in the eyes of James Fishback.
And then we can advertise it to the Groypers. Say, hey, sign up here. Uncle Sam needs you. Stop these gays from doing a. And then they'll all be in South Beach. And during Pride, actually, you know what?
They probably were there.
No, I think I might support this because some of y'all bitches are acting crazy.
Yeah, actually.
So,
you know, we need a little bit of morality.
I think that we should. I didn't mean to do that. I was just tapping. I didn't mean to look like a chronically online TikToker. I think that we should consider some of this.
You know what?
I think we should have a gay Gestapo.
Gestapo.
Yeah. Gestapo soup?
I don't know.
Gestapo
is the secret police, yeah.
Well, gazpacho soup.
Yes, that would be a soup, yes.
I think we should have a gay version of that. What is Gestapo? What is that? German?
Nazi secret police.
I know I had it right.
Hey, well, why don't we just bring in Sophie Rain? Just hang on there, Jason, because it'd be quite interesting to have you guys.
I just love how messy Piers is.
So, Sophie, welcome to Uncensored.
I don't know how he does this.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You have 4.5 million. Well, there are 4.5 million OnlyFans creators. You are, I think, the highest earner. It's claimed that you've made $43 million. You've got 8.5 million Instagram followers, 14 million on TikTok. So you're a massive social media phenomenon. For those who are not familiar with your work, how would you describe it?
Well, I post on many platforms. I post content on Instagram. I post content on TikTok and all the above. And I also post content on OnlyFans. And honestly, I do a little bit of everything. I do little dancing TikTok videos. I'll post Instagram photos. And then obviously my OnlyFans content.
And would you describe it as pornographic, or what would you describe it as?
I mean, I wouldn't describe it as pornographic, but it's definitely adult content for sure.
Oh.
Sexual work, not she's not sex work.
Pick your pronoun, I guess, but it's pornographic.
Well,
all right.
No, because I don't think she actually fully shows things. I think she's one of those creators that doesn't actually do it.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard that she doesn't fully show
Yet
anything.
she's like earns that much? That's surprising.
You make more money not showing it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't claim to know, and unlike James Fishback, I've never viewed any of her content. So, I low-key, that's a joke, but I would bet money he's watched.
Yeah. So, what do you feel about James Fishback and his plan to tax you 50% as a sin tax for being a sinner?
I mean, I'm going to be honest, it's ridiculous. It's very ridiculous. Florida already has no income state tax. It doesn't exist. So, it seems very selective, and it seems like it's a punishment.
I mean, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, she can't debate.
The problem is that
she's kind of proven his point that like
she's really,
we're not sending the cream of the crop, you know?
I will say, over the course of this full debate, she really struggles with like understanding hypotheticals and arguments.
Not everybody knows how to debate.
It's not her skill set at all. So it would have been, I get why Piers brought her in just for the cinema of it.
Yeah.
But like, it would have been more interesting to hear like an actual debater go against James Fishback's ideas.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, even somebody like me or just like a political commentator who disagrees.
I should have done it.
You would, no, unironically.
That would have been good.
Because you would have the intersection of both, actually, that you know how to debate and you're a political commentator and you do OF. So, but her, I almost feel bad for her. It's not really a fair fight because Fishback, as much as he is like a absolutely soulless sociopath, he also is smart and he literally did debate society.
Yeah,
and he like knows rhetoric and tools. And so he definitely gets the better of her in some of their verbal exchanges.
This is a really long video.
I know. But
We're
you know
gonna
what?
have to cut it short.
No, we're experimenting with long form content. It's fine.
Yeah, but long form is supposed to be like different subjects.
No, I think people are really interested in OF.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
And mine.
Are you there, James? Yeah, you are. I mean, Sophie says that that she feels like this is a punishment. Why are you punishing her?
Well, hey, Sophie, good to meet you. It's not a punishment at all.
You creep!
He's trying to riz her up. Oh my God.
Yikes.
Hey,
Ew.
Sophie.
Hey, Sophie, nice to meet you. I want what's best for you. Just let me control your life. Put your OnlyFans down, give me your millions of dollars, and let me tell you what to do, because I'm a man.
God.
Ugh.
Ick.
I feel like he
This
has
is a
chlamydia.
deterrent.
He looks
I think
like it.
Sophie recognizes that
He
our
does.
state was better off when young women aspire to be teachers, small business owners, doctors, and lawyers, as opposed to creating adult content. I can respect Sophie Rain as an individual and still respectfully call out that I don't want thousands of young women who are in high school today to feel like the only way they can make a living when they graduate is selling adult content, video, photos of themselves on the internet.
This is like one of those internet talking points. The idea that there is a single 18-year-old woman who feels what he said, the only way she can make a living in this world today is doing OnlyFans, is what you would call a straw man.
It's also like,
it's made up.
As a politician, if you see that your population is struggling so much that if they actually had this sentiment, I don't think adding a tax economically is going to fix that problem. I think maybe you should address
the lack of opportunity.
Other economic problems that are causing that lack of opportunity rather than adding a tax. It's sounding very Libby.
That's the thing about the far right groypers is they have a lot in common with like socialist leftists.
Yes.
So Sophie, look, with all due respect, I know you're from Florida. I'm from Florida. We both love our state. I want what's best for you, and I want what's best for every single woman in our state, and that's not to be objectified and exploited by the OnlyFans owners.
Sophie, what's your response to that?
I feel like as adults, we are all able to legally make our own decisions. And I think that we should also educate a lot more on all of these opportunities that you're speaking of, because I just don't think that we should be singling out any individual for what they choose to do.
I mean,
see, like that's
James?
like the common man.
Cook her though.
Well, I want to single out drug dealers, Sophie. I want to single out people who are committing crimes in our society. And so as governor, my responsibility is very simple. I want to make sure that there is a path.
See, this is an example of how she's just not a good debater. Like she made the statement, I just don't think we should single out people for the things they choose to do. Well, like, no, obviously we should single out some people for the things they choose to do. Like drug dealers,
and obviously she doesn't mean
like,
drug dealers and but she doesn't know how to articulate herself.
No, and then the problem is what she means is people who are making their own choices and engaging in voluntary interactions with others with no victims. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
But then to just like they make the blanket statement that becomes easy to dunk on.
Yeah.
Because you don't understand debate. I don't know.
It's sad.
I'm not going to be one of those Republicans
But she's not
who's
committing
going to
any
attack
crime.
women.
And it seems to me that your initial assertions before we spoke to Sophie that she was, that people like her on OnlyFans are enslaved, they're being exploited, and then you do an analogy just now to drugs and whatever, which are illegal, obviously. Nothing she's doing is illegal. It seems to be entirely of her own free will. She's very happy doing it. She's very popular doing it. Under the First Amendment...
Well, have you asked her that, Piers? Have you asked her if she's happy?
Under the First Amendment of the US Constitution, what business is it of yours to stick your oar in and want 50% of her cash?
No. Piers, did you ask her if she was happy? Because she posted a video 2 weeks ago on International Women's Day where she was interviewing her former self who looked to be disappointed, who aspired to be quite literally, in Sophie Rain's own words, an astronaut. Sophie, you are smart. I know you. I know your family. You are capable of anything you put your mind.
Does he know her? Does he know her family? Because if not, that's weird. Because he said, nice to meet you earlier. He is so creepy.
He's very weird.
Because did he not say nice to meet you?
Most incels are very weird.
I'm not hallucinating that, right? He said nice to meet you, and now he's saying I know you. How many hours of her content have you watched, James?
Yeah, he sounds like a super fan.
Yeah.
Mind to. And so when you're doing this little cute Spider-Man dance online and you're creating this adult content, know that that person that you used to be still wants something more out of you. And I, as the governor of the state, want every single woman in Florida to achieve their maximum potential.
I just love how he pretends he's a real governor candidate.
I mean, I think just realistically speaking, I'm very happy with where I am, and I promise I would have never got to where I am without the platform. Like, I've built businesses outside of this. I am constantly,
True.
chasing new dreams and everything. Like, I'm very happy with where I am.
Yeah, Sophie, you come from a devout Christian family, I understand. You grew up, by your own admission, pretty poor. The family didn't have much money, relied on food stamps as a child. You were working as a waitress. You then went on OnlyFans. You said you got fired from your restaurant job and your boss discovered the account and so on. And now, obviously, you've become incredibly successful and rich doing this. What do your family make of your transition into this world?
They're actually very supportive of me. Definitely at first, they didn't really understand it and they were cautious of it. But I sat them down and I talked them through everything. I'm being safe. I'm doing everything legal. Like, I'm good. And they're very supportive of where I am.
Are you genuinely happy?
I am. I would have never. I own my own house. Who at 21 can say that? Like, this has gave me so much autonomy over my life.
Listen, I don't know if she's truly happy or not, but all I know is
I don't even like that question because most humans are never actually happy. The question is, are you content? But whatever.
But also, the way I feel about it is just that it's up to her. It's literally in the Declaration of Independence.
My happiness doesn't determine whether or not we shouldn't be, no. It's just, it's irrelevant to the conversation.
But the pursuit of happiness is literally an inalienable of human right in the Constitution. And obviously there's limits on everything, but it's like, whether she's happy or not is not for James Fishback or Brad Polumbo or Clarkson Lawson.
Happiness is not an objective law that humans follow, meaning that it doesn't, happiness isn't something that we can say all humans are happy from this.
No. So
what makes someone happy is very different, which means if we're going to have that in law and we want people to be able to pursue their own happiness, then you have to open up the discussion to people pursuing things that make you happy.
Really?
But this is like, come on. This is, I feel like I'm talking to like.
I fear.
Yeah, we're explaining very basic concepts. This is like me making the video about like 8th grade civics. I just feel like a lot of this stuff is just.
I don't think it is though. I think actually a lot of people will probably come into it and be like, maybe we should ban OnlyFans or whatever. And they haven't thought about the layers of it.
Yeah, I overestimate people's intelligence a lot.
But not our viewers. They're smart and they have really good taste.
Life, and I'm just so grateful for the platform because I wouldn't have been here, especially in today's economy.
We're just eating candy that Clarkson brought.
I'm thinking of, say, the Kardashians, people like that, right? Okay. They're always dripping off, and they're making millions, billions, actually, as a family, from their bodies predominantly. They don't have any other discernible real talent.
He brought up the Kardashians.
It's just stripping off and being, in the media, and it's been very successful. Does your sin tax apply to them?
The sin tax applies to adult content on the internet, whether it's OnlyFans or any other platform. Piers, let me just ask Sophie a question. Sophie, if the number of women doing OnlyFans tripled in Florida tomorrow, would that be a good or a bad thing?
I think honestly, it would be a great thing. A lot of women are trying to find different ways to make more income in a, heavily damaged economy. So I think that there should be those opportunities out there for these women to make an income.
I would say, no, that wouldn't be a good thing. And you would have failed as governor to create opportunities for other women so they don't have to resort to this. Rather than banning OnlyFans or putting a tax on it, maybe you should focus on making sure that women can actually pursue the things they want.
Yeah, and I also think the question is too simplistic. It's like, theoretically, it could be a good thing if those were women no longer working at strip clubs where they might get beaten up or working for shady porn studios where men are taking advantage of them and instead they're doing OF. That actually could be theoretically a good thing. Do I just want a ton more women going into this kind of line of work? No, I don't. But ultimately,
I don't really care.
I think it's probably not great, but ultimately, it's not my choice. It's their choice. You either believe in freedom and autonomy for adults or you don't. And creepy James Fishback clearly does not.
Is badly damaged. I proudly voted for President Trump, Piers, in 2024, and I have to tell you that I am not proud of the work that he has done. We are not living in a golden age whatsoever. People in my state are struggling under the weight of this affordability crisis, and Sophie Rain and I see eye to eye that this economy is hurting a lot of people. I think that where we disagree is that the economy hurts people, and Sophie Rain wants to say, let's get them to join OnlyFans, and what I say is, let's get new job training, especially for women. Let's create new pathways, new opportunities at our public universities. career technical school. Let's create a statewide internship program for anyone under the age of 25 to get a great paying job that will teach them new skills in the 21st century. So Sophie, you and I see eye to eye.
But this is the difference, is like a non-coercive, a non-controlling, a non-authoritarian social conservative would promote those alternatives with the end goal of reducing people going into sex work, but not try to extort them out of it through the state.
There's a very big difference.
And there's a huge difference there. And also, like, it's very easy to just say stuff. We're going to create internships for everybody under 25 and teach them valuable skills.
You're not going to be able to do any of that.
If there was some easy, you don't think Ron DeSantis would do that if it was just super easy? Like,
also,
switch to flip tomorrow,
you're not going to make any money off of this tax because they're all going to leave. So you're not going to be able to do that.
Part of what he says is we're going to give public school teachers bonuses.
So we're just wasting our time.
Yeah, completely.
We, I think, disagree is the solution. When you say that tripling the number of OnlyFans creators is a good thing, that speaks to the damage of the economy. What I want to do is create a real economy that allows people like those women to do something dignified.
Or you're missing, maybe you're missing. Yeah, but James, I mean, you keep talking for Sophie, I've noticed, right? I think you should let her speak for herself, not least because she's worth $43 million. But the point I would make is, what about, the argument that women are empowered to make their own decisions about their own bodies, their own choices,
so
their
that's
own
fine.
careers.
So let me ask you a question, Piers. If a woman is empowered to make their own decision about their own body, and a woman struggles to pay the rent, do we then encourage that woman to sell one of her kidneys to pay the rent and say it was her own decision? No,
well, she's not selling her kidney.
Women.
She's not selling her kidney.
Hold on.
You think? Oh my gosh, selling a kidney is entirely different. We don't need to explain this.
Obviously, everyone agrees that, like, autonomy is not totally unlimited, but there's a big difference between selling risque photos of yourself and literally having pieces of your body cut out and sold.
Right, and most of the time, selling photos that y'all probably would have already posted for free anyways.
And hoes these days?
Yeah, you guys post a lot on Instagram.
But also, I don't know about kidneys because I don't know, like, the differences in.
But I actually do think
people should
be able to sell their kidney.
Yes, adults should be able to sell organs that can
safely
be donated to others. Yes, I actually think you could probably save a lot. Yeah, but that's me being a pretty strict libertarian there. You don't have to believe that in order to disagree with his position. He's intentionally pulling an extreme example.
Well, I don't think that having one hard environmental factor that is something that everybody can have is indicative of exploitation, because you still have a choice on how you respond to it. So if you're struggling to pay rent, a lot of people struggle to pay rent. It's still your choice on if you want to sell a kidney or not.
Yeah.
So you're not being coerced into this decision. You're really just being a human living life,
making
and then
choices,
approaching a struggle and making a choice. That's still using your free will. Not every environmental factor can be controlled by the government.
Yeah.
Anyways,
right, let's keep rolling. Oh my God, we're running really long.
That's what I'm saying.
But where do you draw the line? She is imperiling her future as a mom, as a worker. You just heard Sophie say
how is she imperiling her future as a mother? I don't get that. How does she imperil her future as a mother?
Well, let me tell you how. You just heard Sophie tell you that she was fired from her job when her boss found out her OnlyFans.
Yeah.
She was fired from her job.
Yeah.
And now, with all due respect to Sophie, what are you going to tell your daughter in 10 or 15 years when all of these images are all over the internet and your daughter is being bullied in middle school and was told that you guys were Christians? With all due respect, what do you say then?
I think this is a legitimate point.
I tell my daughter to wipe her tears with the money I give her.
Okay, Clarkson.
I'm serious. No, because do you know what's much worse for a child?
Poverty, probably.
Poverty, by every metric, is where I have this same argument about, like, gay adoption and gay surrogacy. They're like, these things are so bad for children's development, blah, blah, blah. And even though they usually say that with no factual evidence whatsoever, even if they were, in comparison to growing up poor, which
never being
many people do, or never, but growing up poor has so much detrimental damage on a child comparatively to these other things that it's like your priorities are entirely out of whack.
Well, and also,
but they'll never tell a poor person not to have kids. They tell poor people to have as many kids as they want,
which they should.
Sure,
as long as they can afford.
I believe
to take care
that too. But they'll never step in and say, "Oh, wait, actually, poverty is causing a lot of the problems we complain about." They would rather use sex workers,
when
gay
I say
people,
but when I say he has a point, what I mean is that is something people should think about before they go into this. right? That,
Sure.
that these photos will be out there forever.
Yeah.
You will have to explain them to your kids.
That's why I just make sure all of mine are hot. Whenever I take a picture,
but you get what I'm saying.
out.
I'm not saying that's a valid reason to ban it, or like he said he wants to, or to tax it out of existence like he wants to. But I am saying that's a valid concern that you should have thought through fully before making this decision. But at the end of the day, I just believe that adults are capable of making their own decisions, and he doesn't. He wants to be everyone's daddy and control them in weird, vaguely creepy ways.
Like, also, what would you tell your child when they're getting bullied because you can't afford to buy them new shoes? She was a waitress.
What are you going to tell your child when there's a video of their dad saying a black person should be lynched?
Oh, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Yeah, what are you going to...
I would much rather have...
But see, the thing is that a lot of what he's saying fits into, like, the radical Christian ideas.
No. Christians don't want that.
No, I said radical.
I know, but still.
Because a lot of radical religious people will accept these crazy ideas because I don't know why, but for some reason they do. So I don't think that he's gonna have a problem.
I think his kids will be like, "Holy crap, your dad is that crazy person on TV."
Or he will raise them to believe the things that he believes.
I don't know. They will probably rebel against it. Same way all my kids are going to be non-binary.
A real weight, a real tension between a mom and her children, and of course, a worker and her employer. I don't want to encourage women to go on OnlyFans and then get fired from their job and then have a real fight at home about what mommy did on the internet last week.
Okay, Sophie?
I mean, I'm only 21. I haven't even thought about having kids yet. But also, I think that the main discussion here is sin tax. And like in the state of Florida, there's already no income tax. So, and that's also one of the main identities of Florida is that it is a no income state tax. And I think the main issue here is you're attacking women already on the site making money.
I'm attacking men as well.
Exactly. There's multiple people on the site, and not everyone does adult content. OnlyFans is a massive platform, and you can do anything on there. Not everything is adult content based.
Well, I think to be fair to him, Sophie, he's not saying that everyone on OnlyFans should get the sin tax. He's just saying the people that he considers to be sinful should get a tax, and you're one of them. He thinks you're a sinner. What do you say to that?
Well, sin tax is, he's proposing that is going to attack everyone on the OnlyFans site. So does that include all of, the cooks on there that are just selling their recipes?
No, it doesn't, Sophie. No, it doesn't.
So how do you single out?
Please don't be disingenuous.
How do you work out who's a sinner and who's not, James? Are you going to be launching a sin purge? How are you going to do this?
Well, we're going to put you in charge of it, Piers. And so
the way you do it is... I have a very broad mind, James. I think if people are obeying the law, they can do what they like with their own lives. What's it got to do with you?
You know what? So what do you say then? Because prior to slavery being illegal, they were obeying no law. They owned 100 black people. Does that make it okay? Of course not.
I mean, yes, obviously legality and morality are not the same thing, and slavery does prove that point. But it's like hype. It's just so crazy to be invoking that as if that's comparable to this.
Well, it's also like you can tell he doesn't have a strong argument to back it, so he has to pull a sensational part of history to relate it to it so it can make it seem like he has a more valid argument. Because, like, he really doesn't have a defense here.
No, but they're also not making a good point by saying, what about the people who don't do explicit content? Well, his tax will be on the ones who do. It's like, that's not the best counter-argument.
But we're still playing in fantasy land because the execution of that would never happen.
I agree, and it would be hard to know where the line is
All of this is in fantasy land. This will never happen.
Well, his whole campaign is fantasy land.
This whole thing will never happen.
But here's the point I want to make, though.
My attention is like, right now.
Here's the point that I want to make, though. What do you think? Because this is not their first interaction. He has led his whole campaign and he's focused it around her. I don't know if you know this, but he's like talked about her at campaign rallies and like made videos about this tax that feature her and everything. And he's like made her the target of this campaign. What do you think the effect of that on her bottom line and subscriber count has been? Positive or negative?
Oh, she's definite. I was just about to say, this is giving her a ton of money.
The net effect of James Fishback's campaign for the OF tax will be to have, it will never happen. You'll get less than 10% in the final election for governor. And she will get more attention, celebrity, followers, money, and subscribers to her OF
She is getting way
That
more.
is the net effect. All that will happen is James will get himself some viral moments and attention. But if he actually cared about not promoting OF, the net effect of this will be promoting it.
Correct. But
my God.
Let me get to the very specific point that I think Sophie made in good faith.
Why do you think she's a slave? You have, of all the arguments you've used,
that's called an analogy.
Some of the points you've made have validity. But this idea that somehow Sophie is some sort of slave, I'm just not buying that.
Look, Sophie may not be a slave. She hasn't made $43 million. Don't lowball her. She's made over $100 million. When I talk to young women in our state...
Is that right, Sophie?
That is correct, yes.
You've made over $100 million.
She doesn't need to worry about debating, girl. Just show up. Just show up and advertise.
But at that point, why are you still doing it? Like, why aren't you riding off into the sunset? That's what I don't understand.
Because at that point, you make so much, you just keep it going.
I guess.
In a span of
Sophie,
2 years, yes.
Sophie, if you want to be my running mate and be lieutenant governor of Florida, it'll cost you $10 million. You'd be happy to do it. I'd be honored to have you.
Sophie?
No.
What did he say?
He just said, "Oh, you can be my running mate for $10 million." That sounds like a crime. Now, of course, you're not going to be governor, so it won't matter. But I don't think you can sell running mate positions. I know he's not serious, of course, but still.
Also, like, he's not beating the "I have a crush on you" allegations.
He is so freaking creepy.
Look at him. He is looking at her.
Oh, your family.
God. All right, can we just stop?
I don't think so.
We're going to watch a few more
Out of
minutes.
interest, Sophie, I have to say, I mean this with no disrespect, but I'm not aware, I haven't viewed your work. What is it that makes you so popular?
I think that I'm just very transparent with my audience. I'm never over here encouraging people to try and join the site. I'm very clear on the pros and cons of it also, but I'm just very transparent.
So then hold on, what are the cons? Then what are the cons? What is a con? Let's be transparent. What is a con of joining OnlyFans?
I mean, exactly like you said, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that OnlyFans is a great site. Some of the points you are making are correct, like, you know, It's damaging to the future. And I want people to understand and educate themselves, but women still should be able to make that decision for themselves at the end of the day.
Finally, she made a good point.
Sophie, if you had
a tax to disincentivize.
Hang on. Did you hear that? He just said, "I'm not banning it. I'm raising a tax to disincentivize it." But also earlier in the same exact video, he said, I want to make it illegal as well. So it's like,
we're trying to rationalize a provocateur.
Yeah, I'm done with him. We can be done.
Okay, thank
Jesus
God.
Christ.
We should have done this last. We have a bunch of other videos, and my brain is done.
We'll take a little break after this.
This was 50 minutes.
Holy crap! You guys, let us know what you think. Do you support James Fishback, or will you be voting for him? Do you agree with us that he's vaguely creepy? And make sure. What are we doing for members?
Oh, we have to say make sure to subscribe at the beginning of the video.
We did. I did.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, see, we're doing this YouTube thing.
We have a lot of
really
viewers. Nobody who is watching at 53 minutes is somebody who's not subscribed to us.
You would be surprised.
We just have a lot of viewers who don't subscribe to the channel, but they watch our stuff.
And it's like, why do you do that to us? Anyway, guys, become a channel member to support us. We're going to come up with a number where Clarkson will delete his OF.
If we start making a bunch of money on here, I would probably delete it.
Guys, you just heard it. All of our good, upstanding,
not because I think
moral,
it's shameful,
Christian followers need to subscribe to us as members right now so we can get this sinful hoe off of the
Not because I think
platform.
It's shameful, but just because it's like kind of, I don't feel like taking pictures of myself all the time. So
anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe. You hit the like button. Do consider becoming a channel member. And we'll be back with more content that is hopefully less unhinged than what we just watched, but probably won't be real soon.
Bye.